Shalom, holy initiates and holy adepts. This video deals with some of the major Kabbalistic arcana dealing with the subject of Mashiach. Now, I would also like to add that I do have another video entitled HaQabbalah Mashiach ben Yosef, which I think is a good supplementary video that can be watched either before or after this video. Now, I begin this video with a very brief introduction, just briefly reviewing the major beliefs concerning Mashiach. Now, we have the Christians, the vast majority of them, if not all of them, erroneously, correctly believe that Mashiach is coming twice, but they erroneously believe that there is only one Mashiach. Right, so the Christian laity, you might say that this is all of Christianity, erroneously believes in one Mashiach coming twice. Okay, likewise, we have the modern ignorant Jews who believe in one Mashiach coming once. Okay, again, this is practically all, or the vast majority of modern Jews. Okay, so again, we see the same ignorance and the same error on both sides of the same coin vis-a-vis Christianity and Judaism. However, there is a small minority, which are the true elect, those who are fully initiated like myself, who are the real true ancient true Jews, who, like them, being their offspring and direct descendants, believe or correctly know that there are two Mashiachim that will be coming twice. There's two comings of Mashiach vis-a-vis two different Mashiachim, meaning, yes, there are two Mashiachim, each one coming once. Okay, so this is the correct theology. This is the truth, as was known and understood by all of the ancient Israeli initiates and adepts. Okay, now this is very important to understand, and this video is going to go deeper into the subject, as well as give the proofs for this correct understanding. Scriptural proofs at that. Now, in the ancient Kabbalah, we have the Exoteric Kabbalah teaching that there are two Mashiachim vis-a-vis Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. This is why I'm very harsh when I call many of the modern Jews stupid, because you either have to, to me, as a modern Jew, a modern, fully trained, studious Jew, I'm almost feel obliged to have to call you stupid, as harsh as it may be, because, as such, you should be very well learned in the ancient sages, who explicitly state that there are two Mashiachim. Right? So if you don't know this as a modern trained Rab or Jew, then you either have a very low reading comprehension, or you are extraordinarily spiritually blind, or some other defect is occurring within you. So there's really no excuse for a modern Jew not to know this. Fortunately, there are many modern Jews that at least understand this and know this, which is why when I discourse with many of my brothers, many of them Rabbanim on this matter, when they want to be very clever and wise and ask me questions like, how can you be so stupid in believing that Mashiach is coming twice? Where do you get this silly idea from? I simply retort back, well, you do know of the two Mashiachim that Chazal, the ancient sages, speak of, yes? Well, two Mashiachim simply imply two comings. And with that said, they are quickly and easily shut up on this matter. Or I should really say confuted and refuted. Now, the Esoteric Kabbalah teaches that there are many reincarnations of Mashiach, and this is one of the greatest and biggest of the Arcana within this subject in the Esoteric Kabbalah, because you have to understand that according to Exoteric Kabbalah, as would be known by the ancient Israeli laity, their only conception of Mashiach is, well, we know and understand that, simply put, there are two Mashiachim, right? But those who are fully initiated into the holy mysteries understand and know that actually no, there aren't two arrivals of Mashiach. In fact, Mashiach has descended here upon earth in human form many times. He's reincarnated here on earth many times. Okay, now again, you have to understand, if you've seen my videos on metempsychosis, that metempsychosis is a very humongous, comprehensive subject, which is a part of the Exoteric Kabbalah, and within this domain, it must be understood that there are different laws regarding metempsychosis, right? So the laws regarding metempsychosis differ among the different classes of human beings, of which there are many, okay? So again, this is a very comprehensive subject that I don't have the time and space to get into here, but you need to understand that the reincarnations of Mashiach are governed and dictated by a different set of laws that are different from the rest of what we would call most of mankind, okay? Which includes inferior souls when they are compared to the souls and spirits of Elohim, or the gods, okay? In this case, Mashiach, okay? So, as such, as holy initiatives and adepts, we need to understand, we should know that there are many Mashiachim, meaning that Mashiach has reincarnated and descended here upon earth many times. That is to say, he's not going to descend here on earth just 2 times, okay? And of course, this subject goes much deeper than what I have just stated here, as we will see here shortly. Now, I want to first speak on the proof of this grand statement that Mashiach has reincarnated many times in this Aeon alone, okay? If you've seen my videos on Adam Kadmon, and you have the esoteric knowledge and wisdom that Adam Kadmon is in essence Mashiach, then I've already revealed in that series of videos the scriptural proofs, the explicit scriptural proofs that Adam is the first incarnation of Mashiach, okay? Now, here I'm going to bring up the ancient veracious Clementine homilies, okay, which are the writings attributed to Kepha, the chief disciple of Yeshua HaMashiach, which were scribed by his chief disciple, who was Clement, okay? In this highly Kabbalistic, very, very advanced Kabbalistic book, in Homily 3, chapters 20 to 21, here, Kepha, the chief disciple of Yeshua HaMashiach, states, "But give heed to my first discourse of the truth. If anyone do not allow the man fashioned, or that is Adam, who was fashioned by the hands of Elohim, to have had the Ruach HaKodesh of Mashiach, how is he not guilty of the greatest impiety in allowing another born of an impure stock to have it? But he would act most piously if he should not allow to another to have it, but should say that he, that is HaMashiach, alone has it, who has changed his forms and his names from the beginning of the world, and so reappeared again and again in the world, until coming upon his own times, and being anointed with mercy for the works of Elohim, he himself, being the only true prophet, fittingly gave names to each animal according to the merits of its nature, as having made it. For if he gave a name to anyone, that was also the name of that which was made, being given by him who made it." Now, this is a highly mystical, very, very telistic passage in this book. Again, demonstrating and proving how advanced of a Kabbalistic nature this book is. Okay, in this passage, Kepha is revealing a number of holy mysteries. Okay, the first critical one is he is explicitly telling you here, being the most fully initiated Kabbalist of his generation, that indeed Mashiach has reincarnated in this Aeon many times. many of which were esoteric reincarnations, occult reincarnations, or incarnations that the rest of mankind, and to a large degree even many Israelites, were not aware of and did not know. The second critical holy mystery is that he mystically equates Adam with Mashiach. So here he is giving you the first incarnation of Mashiach, who is Adam. Of course, those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, those who are gifted with a high intelligence quotient and a high spiritual quotient, will be easily able to see this in this passage. It's rather quite explicit. Okay, so understand, in this paragraph alone, in this very advanced Kabbalistic treatise, here you have Kappa revealing a number of very, very esoteric holy mysteries. So this is very critical to understand going forward. These are very, very momentous points. One, Mashiach has reincarnated many times in this An. Many of his incarnations in this An have been occult incarnations, meaning that practically all of mankind was not aware that you know who Mashiach was, you know, and that he was even here on earth when these occult incarnations took place in certain ages or epochs. Okay, of course, we holy initiates and adepts know many of his incarnations here upon this An, and can give names. Okay. In fact, in my first holy treatise, I have a whole chapter dealing with this subject in more detail, and actually giving scriptural proofs and revelations of these some of these occult incarnations of Mashiach. As I've stated previously, I'm not going to do any videos covering the holy mysteries that are revealed in my first treatise, since I've already written a book. And to do videos upon what's already in this book would just be doing double the work. So you can go and, you know, get my treatise, which I have a video with the link to that treatise if you are interested in delving deeper into the holy mysteries. Now, with that said, we now proceed to the descent of Mashiach. As we're speaking here, that he has descended upon earth in this An alone many times. Okay, we need to understand that the ancient Kabbalah holistically teaches that Shekhinah has descended upon earth 10 times. Now, as an initiate and as an adept, this is a very critical statement, because even Shekhinah itself is a code word if you are initiated. Okay? Now, regarding this very ancient secret teaching, we find it not just in the Esoteric Kabbalah, but it's actually a component of the Exoteric Kabbalah. So where it is quoted in the Esoteric Kabbalah, where this mystery is broken down, it's really a derivation of the Exoteric Kabbalah, right? We find this statement mentioned in many exoteric Kabbalistic texts, like, you know, Bereshit Rabbah in chapter 38, verse 8, in Melchita B'Chodesh 3, in Sifrei, Numbers 93, Pirkei de Rab Eliezer, and there are many other texts that mention this. So this is a very well-known, you know, Kabbalistic teaching, okay? That is exoteric Kabbalistic teaching. And so then we find it in the Zohar, where this mystery is revealed a little bit more. Now, we need to understand that in the holy mysteries, there are many mystical equations, many of them paradoxical in nature. Now, Shekhinah is mystically equated with Mashiach, okay? It's a very, very mystical equation, okay? Only understood by initiates and adepts. Why? Well, we should know that Shekhinah is the mother of Mashiach, okay? And so because we have this very, very close relationship, this very powerful, unified, close relationship between the mother and her son, thus they are mystically equated because of their great unity. There's this great, powerful divine unity between both of them that in essence they can then become mystically equated. So Shekhinah is mystically equated to Mashiach en passant in the esoteric Kabbalistic literature. And to the profane and the uninitiated, this can be confusing and even cause further confusion. And so these momentous mystical equations of the highest order, if not understood properly when studying and reading these esoteric texts, can actually cause further confusion and error. Okay, so again, going back to what I said earlier, because we have this mystical equation, what the ancient Kabbalists are really saying is that it's not actually Shekhinah, our heavenly grandmother, that's descending upon earth, but her son, who is Mashiach. That's what they're really saying. Mashiach has descended upon earth 10 times. He's had 10 incarnations, 2 of which, as I have already stated, are exoteric, 8 of them being esoteric. Okay, and I've already revealed one esoteric incarnation, which is the first incarnation, which is Adam, which Shaul, the great apostle in the New Testament, mystically and Kabbalistically alludes to this very great secret. Of course, many Christians, not being initiated, being silly babes, well, these Kabbalistic secrets that are in Shaul's writings just go poof, way past over their heads. So we need to understand this very important divine principle, that every time Shekhinah fully descends upon earth, it is requisite that automatically Mashiach descends as well. In fact, Mashiach must first descend before Shekhinah can fully descend. So now, before we get deeper into this subject, I thought it would be fitting to take a brief relook back at the divine hierarchy and actually understand and visually contemplate the divine root and essence of Mashiach and where he stands within the divine hierarchy. Okay, again, I have another series on the divine hierarchy that I've just began, so you can go and see that series after this video or even before this video to get a little bit more understanding on the divine hierarchy. Because again, we need to understand that the Exoteric Kabbalah, principally over 70% of it, is simply concerned with the full knowledge and wisdom of the divine hierarchy, which is the entire Godhead. Now, as I previously stated, Shekhinah, who is the 10th emanation, who is the female hypostasis, is the mother of Mashiach. That means that the 9th emanation, who is Zadik, represents the father of Mashiach. Okay? Again, we also know that in HaQabbalah, Mashiach is occultly referred to as Metatron. Okay? Metatron represents the full holistic essence of who Mashiach really is, which is only really known to those who are fully initiated into the holy mysteries. Now, another great secret that I don't even think is known amongst most modern-day Kabbalists, who would even consider themselves initiates and adepts, of which I don't really consider a good 50%, if not more, of modern-day Kabbalists to even be real Kabbalists. They're just pseudo-Kabbalists in the eyes of true grandmasters like myself. But Metatron is the bride of Mashiach, who is the daughter of Zadik and Shekhinah. So Metatron is the son of Zadik and Shekhinah, and Metatron is the daughter of Zadik and Shekhinah. And she is the only entity that can be truly called the bride of Mashiach. Okay? Now, this great secret is revealed in a very ancient esoteric Kabbalistic text. It's one of my favorites, if not my most favorite text, which is Sefer Tikkun HaZohar in Tikkun number 7 in folio 15a, it states, "This is Hakadosh Baruch Hu. His daughter, this is Shekhinah." The maidservant, that is the soulmate of Metatron, who is Metatron, with the addition of a Yod, right? Again, as I've stated in my other videos, Shekhinah is the daughter of God within the Godhead. She's the daughter within the Godhead, and Metatron is the daughter outside of the Godhead, just as Mashiach is the son outside of the Godhead. And these momentous distinctions must be explicitly understood. It is very, very critical that these distinctions are well understood, because again, there has been a lot of confusion amongst many Kabbalists for the past 2,000 years, and even until now, in reference to the divine hierarchy and its ranks and its orders and the essences of these divine entities. Okay, again, it is extremely momentous to understand this crucial difference, right? We have what is the son or the daughter within the Godhead, and then what we have what is called the son or the daughter outside of the Godhead. One is an archetype, one is an image, and this is explained in my videos on Adam Kadmon, and I think even my videos that deal with Lilith, because Lilith and Adam Kadmon, etc., are all divine images of a higher divine archetype, and it is very, again, momentous to understand these distinctions. So now we're going to proceed to get deeper into this matter by going into Sefer Ruth. Now, Sefer Ruth is a highly Kabbalistic book, and it seems it just it really amazes me how the small books in the Bible, which are usually narratives, how they are just so overloaded with so much esoteric wisdom, Kabbalistic wisdom. An example being Sefer Yonah. In fact, I've done a video on my channel called Metempsychosis in Yonah. I mean, some of the greatest arcana dealing with metempsychosis are to be found in Sefer Yonah, this very short book that's just like 3 pages long. Likewise, here in this very short book, a few pages long, Sefer Ruth, it has many esoteric levels to it, right? A good portion of Sefer Ruth on its esoteric levels deals with all of the secrets of the afterlife. On another level, it deals with many of the secrets of Mashiach. And, so again, this book is a highly Kabbalistic book. Again, you have to be fluent in Hebrew, fully initiated, to penetrate these deeper, more mystical, esoteric layers or levels of the book. You simply are not going to get it from a casual English translation of the text. It's not going to happen. So we begin with some of the occult symbols in the Book of Ruth, right? We need to understand that principally, quintessentially, Ruth obviously represents the bride of Mashiach vis-a-vis Shekhinah. Okay, so Ruth essentially represents the female hypostases within the Godhead. Okay, Boaz has many levels. On one level, he represents the middle pillar, which is the divine archetype, but on another level, he may also represent Mashiach, who is the image, the divine image. So it just depends on what level of esoteric exegesis you are on as to what level Boaz will represent. Okay, so keep this in mind, as this is going to be very relevant going forward here. So here in the title, I guess I somehow I forgot to put a title to this slide, and I have The Secret of the Prophecy of Yechezkel, but it really shouldn't say that. So you can just ignore the title of the slide, since I probably took it from another slide. I don't know. So apologies for that. But we'll begin in Sefer Ruth in chapter 3, verse 15, where it states, "He measured 6 measures of barley and rested it upon her." So here in context, on the literal level, it's speaking of Ruth giving Ruth some food. He's giving her 6 measures of barley to take back to her household. Okay, but again, we have to go into the Hebrew to penetrate the deeper, more telistic levels of the text. Okay, the first secret in this verse is the word there for barley. Okay, now we read regarding this verse in Sefer HaZohar Chadash, in a section of it called the Concealed Midrash, in folio 86a, commenting on this verse on the esoteric telistic level, it states, citing this word for barley, it states, "As it is written, lift up the heads of ye, O gates," quoting Sefer Tehillim chapter 24, verse 7. He rested it upon her, meaning he placed them upon her to guide her and bless her. Thus, she is the bride comprised of all 6 sides. Okay, so this is the Zohar's commentary on this verse in a very esoteric section of the Zohar called the Concealed Midrash. This is an esoteric midrash, very telistic midrash on this verse. So now let's break this verse down as the Zohar here is explaining to us. Okay, we need to understand this very ancient Hebrew word called shepha. Shepha is a Hebrew word that refers to the divine flux. Okay, we know that Ruth represents the 10th Sphira, which is Shekhinah, and so we also should know that Boaz in this verse would represent the middle pillar, who is the lower 6 Sphirot, which are symbolized by the Hebrew letter Wav of the 4 holy letters of the Tetragrammaton, which just happens to have a gematria of 6. Okay, now the verse begins with the Hebrew Yamod, and in Hebrew Yamod means he measured. And this Hebrew word Yamod or is related really, or equated to the Hebrew root word midah, which means attribute. Right? So essentially what we have here is a occult reference to the 6 divine attributes. These 6 measures of barley is really an occult reference to the 6 divine attributes, which are the 6 higher gates, which are the lower 6 Sphirot, right? In the Hebrew verse, you should know that the word measures, that is 6 measures of barley, of that phrase, 6 measures of barley, the word measures is interpolated into the text. It's not in the original Hebrew. The literal Hebrew translation of the verse is, "And he measured 6 barleys." Which, that word for barleys is written the same exact way as the Hebrew word for gates. So now really what is the verse really telistically saying? Well, we have here, you know, the word attribute, gates, and 6. So put it all together telistically as an initiate and adept, what we have referenced here occultly, telistically, is to the 6 divine attributes, the 6 Sphirot, which really is the middle pillar. Again, Metatron or Mashiach is known as the gate. He's the gate to all gates. to the higher gates, more specifically. These 6 gates are much, much higher gates than what Mashiach represents. Okay, so when the verse is stating that the middle pillar here is measuring 6 measures of barley, or of the gates, these are the 6 gates, what the verse is really stating here is that the middle pillar is measuring its 6 attributes. Why? Because we should know the middle pillar is responsible for channeling its shefa, or its divine flux, into Shekhinah. Right? The lower aspect of the middle pillar represents the divine archetypal phallus, whereas Shekhinah represents the archetypal divine pudendum. And the shefa that is being channeled from the middle pillar into Shekhinah represents the divine archetypal seed, or semen, or sperm. This is the great mystery and secret of what is written in the book of Ecclesiastes in chapter 1 verse 7, where it states, all the rivers flow into the sea. This passage is brilliantly elucidated en passant in Sefer HaZohar and in other Kabbalistic texts as representing the shefa being channeled into Shekhinah. Because the sea is an occult code word, an occult reference to Shekhinah, and the rivers are occult references to the higher Elohim, the higher gates, the higher emanations, or Sephiroth, right? Water is an occult symbol for the Shefa, right? Water is an occult symbol used to represent the channeling and the flow of the Shefa into the lower Sephiroth, or the lower divine emanations. Okay, so again, this is what the verse is mystically really referring to. This is what Sefer HaZohar is explaining to us in its commentary. It's telling us that what's really going on here, what the verse is really telepstically saying, is it's explaining the channeling of the middle pillars, Shefa, which are the 6 attributes of the middle pillar, into Shekhinah. So now, let us proceed to talk on the 2 Mashiachim, right? Going back to Sefer Ruth, we know that 2 close of kin to Ruth are spoken of, right? We know that from the text, there are 2 close of kin to Ruth, okay? Now, the closest kin to Ruth is a very, very mysterious concealed figure known as Ploni Almoni. Now, Ploni Almoni is Hebrew for concealed anonymous. Okay? Now, Boaz is the second close of kin to Ruth, right? And so what we have in the text is we have it explaining to us that Boaz, is understanding that there's somebody who's closer to him to Ruth. And he wants to take Ruth. So he has to settle this with this other kin member in order for Boaz to marry Ruth. Right? Now we read the Septuagint's rendition of Sefer Ruth chapter 4 verse 1, which is the verse that first makes mention to this very mysterious concealed figure known as Ploni Almoni, is, and right there passing by was the next of kin whom Boaz had spoken, and Boaz said to him, come over here, sit down here, the hidden one. Right? So most English translations don't really do justice to the Hebrew translation of this verse. They'll usually translate Ploni Almoni as sit down here so and so, which is a satisfactory translation of the underlying Hebrew. It's a valid interpretation, but a much better translation that really brings the point closer to home is translating Ploni Almoni as the hidden one, or the concealed one, or anonymous. Okay, because that's really what that's really the essence of what these 2 words mean. Now the Greek there is krifi, which again forms part of the etymology of the English word crypto, right, which means concealed or hidden. Also, as a side note, according to the Septuagint, the correct pronunciation and transliteration of the name Boaz is not Boaz, but Booz. In Hebrew, the nikud, or vowel point, under the letter Beth of the name Boaz is a kametz. And the kametz, nikud, is usually understood by ancient Kabbalists as either signifying a long A sound or a long O sound. Sometimes many Kabbalists don't really know what the correct pronunciation is. According to our ancient Hebrew sages, in reference to the name Boaz, the correct ancient Hebrew pronunciation and transliteration, as evinced by the Septuagint, is actually Booz, not Boaz. But again, this is a side note. We don't want to sidetrack too much here. So going back to the subject at hand, Sefer HaZohar Chadash, in the section of Concealed Midrash in folio 88b, commenting on this verse, it states, why is he called Alimony Ploni? And then it states, since it is written in Lamentations chapter 2 verse 3, he has withdrawn his right hand. Why? The reason is that until the end of days she lies down on the earth, ergo he is Alimony Ploni, treasured away from the day the universe was created. Now, there's a very important pun that is being utilized in this commentary, dealing with the Hebrew word yamin, which in Hebrew, yamin means right. It can mean right, or it can mean right hand, or it can mean right arm. But in Aramaic, yamin means days. So, understanding the mystery and essence of this ancient Chaldaic word, right, and this mystical equation between the Hebrew and the Aramaic, right, then Alimony Ploni is then equated with the aspect of the divine right and the end of days, right? The reason he's called Alimony Ploni is because this concealed hidden figure is in reference to the end of days. And he also represents the right hand of the Sferoth, or of Adam Kadmon, the archetypal Adam Kadmon, that is. So getting a little deeper into the mystery, the Zohar continues by stating, Ploni Alimony. From here, we learn that there are two Mashiachim, a close redeemer and a distant redeemer. The close redeemer is from the aspect of Yamin. The other redeemer is Mashiach ben Yosef. Who is he? Yosef, called Zadik, Mashiach, who comes first. I cannot redeem for myself, quoting Ruth 4:6, since regarding the right hand, or Yamin, which is behind, and then quoting Sefer Tehillim chapter 60 verse 7, it states, save with your right hand and answer me. Until that saving, quote, I cannot redeem for myself, quoting Ruth chapter 4 verse 6. Redeem for yourself my redemption, quoting the same verse, for Ben Yosef will arrive and redeem first, and afterward the hidden right hand will be aroused, hidden for the saints. Then the right hand of Adonai is raised up, quoting Sefer Tehillim chapter 118 verse 16. Now this is the core, this is the quintessence of this great arcanum regarding Mashiach. Namely, as the ancient Kabbalists explained to us here, that there are two Mashiachim and they are two separate entities. Okay, this is the proof of the error of both the Christians and modern day Jews, right? It is not as the Christians state that it is one Mashiach coming twice, and it is not as the modern Jews so erroneously and stupidly state that there's only one Mashiach and he's only coming once. Okay, again, as we see here, there's a reason why the ancient Kabbalists exoterically taught that there are two different Mashiachim. For Christians to go against this teaching and understanding violates the principle of Mashiach. Okay, and the proof is again found here on the telistic deeper levels of this text, right? Here the text is telling us that there are two redeemers. Ruth occultly signifies Israel through our Heavenly Mother, and Boaz and Ploni Alimony represent her two redeemers, or the two Mashiachim, vis-a-vis Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. And again, here they're telling us that Mashiach ben Yosef is who comes first. So there should be no question to the Jew who's coming first. It's Mashiach ben Yosef. And we see here that the essence, the telistic essence of this passage is that Mashiach ben David could not come first. Right? This is why he states, I cannot redeem for myself. Here you have Mashiach ben David telling Mashiach ben Yosef, I cannot redeem for myself. At this moment, at this time, I cannot redeem Israel. So, you, Mashiach ben Yosef, go, redeem for yourself my redemption. And so this is why he comes first, to redeem Israel first. And then, Ploni Alimony, the great concealed one, the hidden one, Mashiach ben David will come to finish off the redemption, to complete the redemption. Now again, notice that again, telistically in this passage, Zadik is equated with Mashiach. Just as Mashiach is equated with Shekhinah en passant in the esoteric Kabbalistic literature, so we find that same equation between Zadik and Mashiach, because Zadik is his father. So, now let us review this great arcane. Do we know the quintessence of this is that there are two different Mashiachim, and that Mashiach is the first and highest image of Hasfaroth. Now, we need to understand relevantly that there is quintessentially a trilateral aspect or division of Hasfaroth vis-a-vis the decadal division, that is the 10 Sfaroth. There's also a trilateral division vis-a-vis the 3 pillars, and a binary division vis-a-vis the male and the female. Ergo, Mashiach contains these same divisions, because Mashiach, being the first and highest image of Hasfaroth, must reflect the attributes and properties of Hasfaroth. Meaning that, yes, on one level there are 10 partsufim, or faces or aspects to Mashiach. There's also a trilateral aspect to Mashiach, as well as a binary aspect to Mashiach, right? We know Mashiach's binary aspect is alluded to in the fact that he is male and female as one, Metatron and Metatron as one. Okay? So when you understand this, this great arcanum, then you can begin to understand, you can arrive at the beginning of understanding and begin to understand that Mashiach ben Yosef is a lower spiritual entity or level or partsuf or aspect of holistic Mashiach. And Mashiach ben David then would represent the higher spiritual manifestation or partsuf of holistic Mashiach. You have to think of Mashiach as 10 different levels or partsufim. At the very least, as 2 different partsufim. Now, I've already explained the lowest 2 partsufim of Mashiach vis-a-vis Metatron and Metatron. This alludes to the male and female nature of Mashiach as one. But then there is also a much deeper, more esoteric trilateral division within Mashiach, as well as even much more deeper and esoteric decadal division within Mashiach. When you have this understanding in mind, you can then begin to see how Mashiach ben Yosef would then represent some lower spiritual partsuf of Mashiach, whereas Mashiach ben David will represent a higher spiritual partsuf of Mashiach. And so with that said, I conclude this occult presentation. Shalom, Amen.